in the morning, there'll be new figures. We're used to it. You just put the figure, don't put the breaking. All right, Federal Character Commission upholding federal character principle. That story is in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Also, you have anxiety in Abia as security intercept truckload of Almajiris from north. Anxiety in Abia as security intercept truckload of Almajiris from north. And then you have Professor Akintoye, who says Yoruba never demanded Nigeria's breakup. Professor Akintoye says Yoruba never demanded Nigeria's breakup. And then you have COVID-19. Trump confessed infectious disease expert Fauci will testify before Senate. That story is also making its way to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Also in the Vanguard, we have COVID-19 Senate disowns reps retitled Diseases Bill. COVID-19 Senate disowns reps retitled Diseases Bill. And then you have DSTV GoTV hike price as MultiChoice implements 7.5% VAT. You know, I've always said something about this VAT. It just goes back to the people, really. We just pay double for the stuff that we're already paying. DSTV GoTV hike price as MultiChoice implements 7.5% VAT. And Senate moves indefinite hold on use of 5G network over health concerns. Senate moves indefinite hold on use of 5G network over health concerns. Ex-President Yar'Adua was a patriot despite my political differences with him. But of course, it's not by politics that you become a patriot, I think. Ex-President Yar'Adua was a patriot despite my differences with him, Buhari. And then you also have in the Vanguard newspaper, Igbo presidency, we didn't appoint Gowon to negotiate on our behalf, Ohaneze. Igbo presidency, we didn't appoint Gowon to negotiate on our behalf. And I think that's about it. That's about it for the Vanguard newspaper. Not much happening these days. It's all on COVID. And COVID has taken center stage. So let's get to the very first story. Nigeria records 148 new cases of COVID-19. Total now put at 2,950. So far, we have recorded 98 deaths and 481 have been discharged. So we've got about 2,000 and... well, thereabout. No, we have 2,950. 481 has been discharged. 98 have died. That'll make it about 500 plus. So you take 500 plus from 950. So let's just say 2,400 are still receiving treatment. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Tuesday recorded 148 new cases of coronavirus COVID-19, bringing the total number of infections to Nigeria to 2,950. NCDC announced this on its website on Tuesday night. On the 5th of May 2020, 148 new confirmed cases and 5 deaths were recorded in Nigeria. No new state has reported a case in the last 24 hours. Till date, 2,950 cases have been confirmed, 481 have been discharged, 98 deaths have been recorded in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The 148 new cases are reported from 16 states: Lagos 43, Kano 32, Katsina 9, FCT 10, Zamfara 14, Taraba 7, Borno 7, Ogun 6, Oyo 5, Edo 3, Kaduna 3, Adamawa 2, Gombe 2, Plateau 1, Sokoto 1, Kebbi 1. All right, so there you have it. 34 states so far. 35 states so far have had cases of COVID-19. I think the only 2 so far not here is, remember, it's the 35 with the FCT. So we're looking at 2 more states, Cross River and Kogi State. And I hear the baloney going on in Kogi State. It just doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. The novel coronavirus has killed at least 254,532 people since the outbreak first emerged in China last December. And according to a tally from official sources compiled by AFP at 7 GMT on Tuesday, that's PM. All right, Emmanuel, let's get your thoughts here. The figures, I think, is almost within that range. If we're not getting 200 and something, we're getting 100 and something. We haven't seen anything as dangerous as 300 and 400 in one day.
Well,
good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria. You see, the fact is that there continued to be a spike in the those that test positive in Nigeria, even though we've not had it cross maybe 100 and something mark. But then I think it's dangerous, and will call for maybe even the lockdown people are talking about, because it shows that the virus itself is still very strong, working very strongly in the country, Nigeria. But you see, as the virus is waxing, we also are finding out that people are getting impatient. Well, it's up to government to keep on doing exactly what they ought to do, because any failure and there's a resultant effect, blame will be on them more than even the citizenry. Even the citizenry, whoever is saying anything now, will turn on government to blame them later.
All right, we also have Precious UDK. He's Esquire, a Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner and member Nigerian Bar Association Port Harcourt. Good to have you here with us.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, what are your thoughts on these figures and what we've been doing of recent, really, concerning COVID-19?
Yes,
and the numbers not dropping. I'm looking forward to the day we might begin to see 19 new, 18 new, 17 new.
You nailed it when you said there's actually nothing breaking again about the figures being churned out. Definitely, we wake up every morning to see either so number of persons discharged or so number of persons admitted. So I just feel that man has a way of acclimatizing with situations like this. To me, whether we agree or not, coronavirus has come to stay. The only way forward is whenever WHO or any other reputable organization comes up with a confirmed drugs, any confirmed drugs or remedial what for it. For me, I do not think there is any remedy in sight, except the world is able to come together to come up with a medicine that should be able to handle the situation. Now, like you rightly said, numbers are being churned out, either negative or positive, and then what efforts have we actually made, assuming I'm minded to appraise it? Now you see that the Chinese doctors who came into Nigeria a couple of months back, one may have to wonder again.
Yeah, I think what's his name was speaking about them recently, Lai Mohammed, and he says there are at isolation centers now installing some of the equipment they came with and doing the groundwork, which is of course teaching the people how the equipment works and the rest of it.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for the information. So let's hope that by God's grace, they're able to do whatever they're doing behind the scene and then come up open so we have the positive impact of their presence in the country. And then the only thing we can say is people would have to definitely continue to abide by the regulations and all that until there is a relief that is permanent in nature. Because for now, what we are just doing is trial of different measures. There is no particular measure that is defined world over.
World over, true.
Yeah, so let's keep doing whatever we know how best to do. And of course, we are a religious country. Keep praying.
We'll keep praying. That's not out of the equation. Lagos discharges 60 COVID-19 patients anyways, in case you're still wondering. That's happening too. Anxiety in Abia as security intercept truckload of Almajiris. It says an Almajiris from the north. Fear has gripped residents of different parts of Abia State following the interception on Tuesday of a group of Almajiris loaded in cattle truck on their way to Abia. Vanguard gathered that the Abia State Homeland Security agents, led by the Commissioner for Homeland Security, Prince Dan Okoli, intercepted the Almajiris hidden in cattle trucks at Enugu-Abia border along Enugu-Aba Highway. A release by the Abia Commissioner for Information, Chief John Okikalu, explained that overnight, several trucks conveying food items with several Almajiris hiding in them were turned back at the same border until the interception on Tuesday. The commissioner said that government has directed that more Homeland Security agents be deployed to one of the borders with Akwa Ibom State as well, following the interception of another truck conveying Almajiris alongside goods destined for Akwa Ibom State. Abia State government had early on Monday alerted citizens that it received intelligence report on the planned movement of a group of Almajiris into the state within the next 24 hours. Some residents of Aba, the commercial hub of the state, who spoke to our reporter, pleaded with the state government to quickly do the needful to beef up the security within the state, especially at the borders. Mr. Jackson Akudiwe said, since the news broke out, we are all jittering because we've been hearing that the level of deaths in Kano was as a result of these Almajiris. He said, how come they want to shift them into a peaceful and less disturbed state? I thank God that the government uncovered this evil plot, but uncovering it is not enough. We're also happy that they've apprehended some of them, and that's a wonderful achievement. We plead with them to quickly strengthen the borders, possibly withdraw some compromising police officers and replace them with any other local security here because our policemen are too corrupt. Meanwhile, Okikalu said the state government has directed the traditional rulers and TC chairmen of interstate boundary communities will be held responsible and sanctioned for any of such unauthorized entry into the state. He stressed that the government has warned that all necessary lawful measures must be taken to stop the entry of not only the Almajiris, but also other unlawful migrants. He added that the measures will remain state to another is lifted.
Well, I think it's encouraging the kind of intelligence Abia State government had 3 days after it happened, exactly as the intelligence specified. But I think how I wish the security agencies could also be having such precise information on whatever is going to happen, and so nip it in the
and
bud.
deploy same.
Yes. Now, well, one was banned for Abia, one was banned for Akwa Ibom. I think the best way is what they have done. Send them back, especially now that there is all this issue of sending them back. Because, you know, we belong to one country. I must tell you, if not because of this kind of situation, you can't be telling another person, don't come.
No, but I think unless you're an adult, I will not have Almajiris who are kids just coming in.
That is very correct, but they've been doing so.
I know, but it's wrong.
Before.
Even that is wrong. You cannot have kids who are not adults move into a state and say because the Constitution guarantees freedom of movement, and an unshepherded or I think shepherd would be the word, an unshepherded youngster comes into the city or comes into the state, and you said, well, there's movement. How is he going to fend for himself?
No, certainly I believe they've been having all these, whether they are moms or whatever, that they go around, move around with. I think they have them all along. You see, for instance, one person, a woman usually, and sometimes rarely men, and then having 4 of them clustering around them and all that. But then, I think the only thing that has moved this movement of sending them back is the situation we find ourselves in.
COVID-19.
So whatever be the case, let them be very
especially with the fact that in northern states that have had Almajiris sent to them from other northern states have said some of these Almajiris came in with COVID-19.
So they have to be very,
that's why I said, they don't understand,
and shine their eyes.
I said, we don't understand why you're bringing these people into our peaceful, quiet state. All right, let me get your thoughts on this, Precious UDK.
You see, most times I just keep wondering where exactly the country is heading to. I've continued to tell those who I communicate with on a daily basis that most times we shouldn't say the problem of this country is from the presidency or from the various governors. As much as I know that they have their fair share of the blame game. But then, the president, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, has come to say, stop interstate movements. Consequent upon that, the IGP issued a directive to the various police divisions to implement as directed by Mr. President these states. Where did the truck take off from? Why was the truck able to navigate through various places and states before getting to it? If Mr. President has made a declaration and directed as appropriate, any one police officer that sabotages that effort should be appropriately dealt with. And then, when people lose interest in I have followed the physical, as it were, between the governor of Rivers State and the new CP that was sent here. People have continued to lose interest in the police, not because they want to, but because happenstance has forced them to lose such interest. Situations where you put the police on a border and they compromise, they collect peanuts and allow people in and out of the state. It is worrisome. And then what happens? Governors have resorted to setting up task force to implement whatever. Why will anybody with good appraisal of what is going on in the country view of the deportation for any reason whatsoever? You see, the president has said we are in a near war situation. Even the governors have said we are even in a worse. Some rules and regulations are relaxed. You have even hinted that these Amajiris are underage children. Shouldn't we say it is an abuse of the rights of these children to take them out of their various homes to a place they know little or nothing about? Shouldn't we first respect the rights of these children to live with their families first before we talk about their right to not a need for first the security? Please, particularly, I have my reason why I'm
particular literacy volunteer. Amazing, that's new. All right. We'll join the class.
Yes, it's a movement that is ongoing.
We'll join the class. I like that.
We're in a situation like that. It's expected that all citizens freedom of movement and all that. But if you also look, they restrict movement of Nigeria and to regulate society. Now you have been asked to remain your movement again, but you refused. You disobeyed the law and you are still moving from one place to another. No thanks to cultural behavior. There are certain cultures that we need to do away with, most especially you still say Amajiri, moving people from one state to another, from one society to beg for you because you want to make money, begin to beg or bring all your children and begin to do the begging. But you decided to be using their vulnerable laws should fall heavily on the person's being to do that.
You're going religious.
I think
I don't know.
Faced with reality like this, yeah, you still want to be obstinate. No, I think it's something is actually wrong with such a person. And also thank the security that were able to apprehend these persons. When you were reading it, I heard security. I didn't hear task forces or task force.
It's really, if you ask me,
pretty much like a task thing we are doing. It should be without mercy.
All right, Professor, I can tell you one speaking here. A foremost Yoruba nationalist, Professor Banji Akintoye, says the Yoruba people are only agitating for freedom but never demanded the breakup of Nigeria. Akintoye, Emeritus Professor of History, stated this on Tuesday in Ibadan while speaking on AM 120, a television breakfast show of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. He said Yoruba people believed in unity, saying no individual Yoruba person had the authority to say we're pulling out. An average Yoruba person believes in build and build, not break and break. It has also been recognized that the Yorubas have strong and very clear tradition of religious tolerance in the world. The elder statesman expressed optimism that a proper federation could be achieved through referendum. He declared that the recent acceptance of the Yoruba-speaking tribes to the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization UNPO would give global voice to the age-long agitation for a better deal for Yoruba in the affairs of Nigeria. According to Akintoye, the UNPO exists to give voice to the tribes submerged in larger countries, saying being accepted into the UNPO is a recognition that Yoruba people deserve a voice. With admission to UNPO, we now have an agency that can maximize our voice in what we desire. Speaking on the present political structure in Nigeria, Kintoye opined that over-centralization of governance has suppressed over 56 million people in Yoruba-speaking tribes. We want to go back to the original plan in which each federating unit is free to manage its life without interference. On the launch of the Southwest Security Network, Amotekun, the elder statesman said the outfit will assist the conventional security outfits to tackle the nation's insecurity. All right, well, he says, look, we're not calling for a breakup. We're just saying, allow us be. We need some freedom. Let's get back to the point where federating units can determine their way of life.
Well, I think in history, I've never heard that they called for secession, which is the breakup he's talking about.
Yeah.
I've never heard so.
But he's mentioned referendum.
Yes, but he needs a referendum. More or less, you see, the same way, what you are using the left hand to throw, where you are drawing it with the right hand. So, I don't also know the kind of problem maybe the Yorubas are having. The Hausas, they're not. Yoruba.
All right.
Whether the Yorubas have be able to control their resources and then turn out, pay taxes to the federal government, I agree. That is what should ordinarily be done. In fact, you see that this COVID-19 issue has even exposed the country a bit further, because by what is happening, where governors are giving the rights, even the president in his broker said he commended the governors for the respective efforts they've done in their respective states and domains. You see that there is a step towards taking Nigeria to true federalism, because in this instance now, the governors are taking decisions with their respective states. In fact, there are states where the governors have even come to say stop movements even before the federal government unified it by prohibiting interstate movement. So it doesn't have to do with break up of Nigeria. Of course, I do not think that if things are done the right way, anybody will call for a breakup. And what I will rather suggest is, let us do the right thing in Nigeria. Let us first see ourselves as Nigerians. Because this issue of the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas, it's even dividing Nigeria more. I would prefer situations where we talk about Nigeria as Nigeria and not as the different subunits. Because by the time you begin to refer to and so people as these people first before Nigerians, you are invariably calling for a breakup. While I say the United Nations unrepresented people, good and fine, should we even bother going to register? Because the other day I followed up United Nations, where they are also now registered in the UN Unrepresented People's Assembly. And then, similarly, the Yorubas have registered. So to me, it doesn't have much to do with semantics or sugar-coated statements. It has a lot more to do with the actions we are taking. Okay. So the actions, if you ask me, suggest that indeed there is a step towards a breakup, but Nigeria will not break up.
All right, let's get your thoughts.
Yes, I think for me, the Yorubas have actually demonstrated high level of political civilization, patience, and endurance. They have shown that sense of belonging that is worth emulating. I applaud them. In fact, I envy them for that thing. I think when you were reading the piece, I carefully listened to them. That yes, they've not called for, but if there is anything in Nigeria, I mean not the written laws, the Nigeria government at that time was between the Hausas and the Igbos. But the Yorubas enjoy and they work out their politics and play themselves back to the national politics. The Yorubas, if you begin to check, I don't think I have ever heard of a Yoruba person being a Nigeria Senate president. To date, from the way nobody have been a Senate president, they are enjoying it, playing their politics. Whatever.
They've been presidents. So
I'm talking about Senate president.
That's why I said they've been presidents. So it doesn't matter.
Obasanjo was the first president from there. Shonika was just there for a few months and all that.
But that's what I'm saying. They've had a shot at it, so they're happy.
Yes, even other people have also have it.
Well,
South have had it. Southeast have had it. The North Central have not had it. It's a military regime.
What of Saraki? What's its origin?
Saraki?
Yes.
Senate president from the North now. I am talking about the Southwest.
Go ahead.
They've not. Then if you also look at the immediate past administration of Jonathan, from number 1 position to number 8, the Yoruba person was not holding any prominent position.
So because
But
they didn't
what they
complain,
did- no.
because they didn't complain, that makes them stellar people.
No, what I'm saying now is
Is
this.
what?
They will understand that. What is the essence of complaining if we can play our politics and get ourselves for the breakup of the country? The Yoruba have not
Is
done
that
that.
well, good.
Within the law, if you are doing that, that is when people will say, yes, this one is a patriotic citizen.
I think
All
I
these
should.
people are very
I think I should
patriotic.
inform him
And
that there's no referendum in Nigerian constitution.
that is what I'm saying.
So if he's calling for
He did it
for
for
you to be
referendum.
followed
He said
for
that
Professor Akintoye is the one speaking there. You find that story in retitled Diseases Bill. It says here, Bajabiamila bows to pressure, says bill will go through public hearing as a virus or COVID-19 in the country. This came primary healthcare and communicable diseases, Senator Chukwuka Utazi, People's Democratic Party, PDP, of the bill, or in gazetted form, insisting bill said his privileges and those of other senators.
and actually bring a document blindly, it will pass. Worrisome. So first, I commend the distinguished senator. I don't see why we should worry about the content of the bill. I mean, if it is made public and indeed there are clauses like the NCDC can subject anybody to compulsory vaccination and all that. As it is now, what is this? Don't they use force to capture the person if the person refused to turn up for treatment? It's just the same thing, if you ask me. So I should, however, I support the view that the bill should be subjected to public scrutiny by way of.
it is expected that the Ninth Assembly should subject themselves to.
All right.
We understand that if the bill is made available to every member for them to study,
Yeah.
if this thing is not made available to you, how will you make reasonable imputes? These things is things that we should not be hearing. You withhold something, the Senate are not aware of whatever content or whatever law you are trying to pass. You just expect people to jump into it and pass it. For me, they should send it back until the copies is made available. It is time for us to be making reasonable impute and see the law scrutinized properly and see where it benefits us. We are Nigerians. Nigeria is not made for senators. It's not made for politicians only. There are people who are here. The downtrodden should also have access and understand that the law actually protects their interests also. So the Senate should send it back. And also the content, I don't have the correct information, so I wouldn't condemn also.
A house. What are we What are we going to be deliberating on if we have no knowledge what this is? And you know, the truth is, I was thinking if there's already a bill from the House of Reps, it has. So what? Except
Between them,
I think so. It reeks of that. And then you have hike prices. Multi-choice implements 7.5% VAT. Pay television service provider hike in prices of its DSTV and GoTV packages, Vanguard has learned. The new VAT regime, which came into effect on February 1st, raised the rate of VAT from 5% to 7.5% on goods and services. Since coming into effect 4 months ago, MultiChoice has observed the 2.5% hike on behalf of its subscribers, an action that has kept the VAT rate at the pre-February rate of 5%. Sources told the Vanguard that there is no way this has impacted very negatively on its